So let's take a look at the camel spin. With the camel spin, the setup is very similar to your upright and your sit spin in that you've got your backward crossovers and then going into your wind-up position. Now, the next part on your entrance edge is very similar to the sit spin in that you want a very deep knee bend going in on that outside edge. The reason why you want such a deep knee bend on that outside edge is because you want to get a really nice, tight, hooked outside edge. The only thing you're going to be able to use in this camel spin in order to create that rotation is your outside edge and also your left arm. Now, normally in your sit spin and also your upright spin, you're going to be able to use the whip of your right arm and also your right leg coming around to get you the rotation. With the camel spin, you're not going to be able to use these, and you'll find out why a little later on in this video. So the entrance, as I mentioned, is very similar to all the other spins you have with your backward crossovers and then your wind-up position with your left arm in front and your right arm behind. Now, when you step in, you want to step in the same inside the circle onto a deep outside edge, keeping the arms in position. So you'll end up in this position as you go to step onto your outside edge. Now look, my weight is already slightly over my left side, so as I step onto it, I'm ready to curve round nice and tightly on the outside edge. If you step too far over your right side when you step in onto that curve, then you're going to go in a straight line, and you want to make sure that this edge curves around as tight, almost as tightly as possible in order to allow yourself to get as much rotation for that camel spin. So your arm positions going in, as I mentioned, it's left arm in front and right arm behind. These arms stay exactly where they are throughout the whole of that forward outside edge as you're going into that camel spin. The only time they'll change is when you get to the end of your edge and you hit your toe pick, and then the left arm will open up. Your right arm will still try and stay as far behind you as possible. The right arm is not going to be used throughout this entrance at all in the camel spin. Now your free leg, again, very different. This is the major difference between the upright spin and the sit spin in terms of the entrance going into this camel spin. Your free leg starts off behind you, similar to the sit spin and the upright spin, but it stays behind you for the actual spin. So you are, again, I mentioned earlier on that the only way you can get rotation from this camel spin is doing it from your outside edge, and you're using your left arm. So with your free leg, this is the major difference between the sit spin and the upright spin entrance. Instead of coming around and using it to whip around going into a spin, with the right leg on the camel spin, it's going to stay behind you, so you can't use it for rotation. All it does is, from being behind you, is lifts up into a nice high parallel position to the ice. That's why this camel spin is also referred to sometimes as a parallel spin, because your body and your leg are completely parallel, at least parallel to the ice. Sometimes you might get a little higher than parallel to the ice if you want to achieve a really nice look, but the minimum requirement for a camel spin is to be parallel, your free leg to be parallel to the ice. And also to achieve a nice look, your body wants to be parallel to the ice as well. But make sure when you get into the spin that your body is not curved here. It still may be parallel, but you want your back to be completely arched with your head up all the way through, your stomach, your chest and your head lifted up in that position. This will give you A, better balance, and B, a better look in the camel spin. So just to go over it again, the key things on that entrance are keeping your arms in position on that entrance edge, having a tight outside edge position, and not allowing either your right leg or your right arm to come around at all. They have to stay completely behind you. Why they stay completely behind you is in your camel spin, you're standing over your left foot. So anytime anything comes over that right side, it brings your weight out to the right side. Now you want to be completely balanced over your left side in that spin. So don't bring anything over that right side. All of your weight and all of your limbs and all of everything of your body wants to be balanced over this left foot, as that's the only thing that you'll be standing on. Now once you've achieved your entrance edge and you've done your hook and you've hit your toe, now it's time to get into the camel position, which means getting your leg higher. We already mentioned how you have to lift your right leg up. It's going to be behind you and then it lifts up almost into the arabesque position, you call it in ballet, but in this one we call it either the spiral position or the camel position. You want to keep your body low. I see a lot of people when they try and lift their leg up, their body comes up with it. Your body has to stay flat. Again, keep your body parallel to the ice, and then you lift your leg up as well to join it. So the only thing that will be pointing down is your skating leg. Everything else will be lifted up and parallel to the ice. And then you want to make sure that your skating leg is completely locked out and straight. When you're in this camel spin, any kind of bent position with the knee, A, doesn't look so nice, and B, can throw off your balance a little bit. This is one of the few moves in skating where I really would strongly ask for a completely locked out knee in that camel position. So not only is the skating leg knee completely not locked out, you also want to achieve that with your free leg as well. Now this just achieves a nice position and gives the camel spin a nice look. So your knee at the back here will be completely locked out, but also your toe will be pointed at the back there. You don't want to have a flexed toe, it doesn't look so nice. Make sure you just finish the line off by having that knee locked out and the toe pointed. So if you put all of these points together, you should end up achieving quite a nice camel spin. The exit from the camel spin is quite a nice easy one. When you come from your camel spin, you come down into your upright spin and then again finish off with a nice landing position on a soft knee, pushing out strongly. So you've just come from spinning on the spot to pushing out nice and strong on that outside exit edge. Some of the common mistakes I see with this camel spin, we've already mentioned a couple of them, that some people arch their back going into this camel spin. You want to make sure you keep your back completely strong and flat at the back here. Almost try and arch it, especially when you get into that camel position. The arch of the back not only gives you stability, but it also gives it a nicer look. Same thing with your free leg. You want it to be lifted so it's at least parallel with the ice. If it's anything lower than parallel with the ice, then it's not considered a real camel spin. You want to really make sure that you get that leg up there. So another common mistake I see, and this is probably one of the most common ones, which is why people struggle with the camel spin so much, is that their outside edge isn't hooked enough and they're not balanced over their outside edge. If your outside edge isn't curved enough and it goes in a straight line, then you haven't got the ability to turn all of that momentum you've got going forwards into rotational momentum. You need it so tight so that not only can you create your rotation from that outside edge, but also you stop all of that forward momentum and you turn it into rotational momentum right on the spot. So try and make sure that outside edge is not only curved, but you are balanced over that outside edge so that when it does turn into rotational momentum, you're completely balanced over that left foot in your camel position, ready to spin on the spot. Another mistake sometimes I see is people trying to get a little too rushed with their entrance and moving their arms too early. So they'll step in, they'll move the arms, and then their balance will be way off going into that spin. You need to make sure that those arms stay in position the whole way through this entrance. Only when you get to the toe pick at the end of the edge can that left arm come around, and that's the only time you should move the arms. Now I have seen some different entries going into this camel spin with not necessarily keeping the arms there, but actually twisting the arms a whole way over here, and then also once you got to the end of the spin, going up and over with the arm into your position. There are several different variations, but I think definitely as a starting point for the camel spin, you should keep it basic and keep your left arm in front and your right arm behind, with your left arm coming around only when you hit the toe pick on the end of the entrance edge. The last thing I would say to watch out for would be to make sure that you open out your hip on the entrance edge and in the camel spin. If you close off your hip, then look, there's a lot of weight over here on my right side. Now if I open out my hip, then it almost disappears behind my left side, which means that all of my weight can be over my left foot. So try and open out your body a little bit, not just your hip, but also your shoulders in that camel position here. So you don't want to be completely flat, especially with that hip. The hip wants to be open, and you can be slightly open with the shoulders in that camel arabesque position also.